Hey guys, we're going to start working through this goal setting worksheet, and as we go along we're going to explain some of the reasoning behind the questions. So we're picking 5 goals with a chance of failure. Why are we picking goals with a chance of failure? It's because we're trying to break habits that are usually built in our comfort zones. Now, you can probably relate to, you're trying to make dinner for yourself more often, and maybe you come home and you're usually sitting down and plopping in front of the couch. It's really hard to get past that urge to sit down again, and we want to challenge ourselves to change our habits. And so we pick something that's hard enough because it causes a little bit of stress. It's some anxiety, but that stress and that anxiety also makes our brain a little more receptive to change, to taking in new information and then build some new habits with that and behaviors with that information. So we're going to pick things that we like the idea of, we want to achieve them, they seem reasonable, but we know it's going to be some work. All right, so for each goal, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be picturing our worst case scenario. So we need to be able to recognize the consequences of not achieving that goal. Now, having the other side of the coin though, what's the best case scenario for achieving your goal is really important. Hopefully we've picked something that is meaningful enough that when we achieve that goal, we see that goal, its effect spins off into other things in our life. By being more fit, we can go out and do more things. By getting better sleep, we're better people each day. So what is the best case scenario when you achieve your goal, and what does that look like? And write these things out. The more you can paint that picture of the negative, continue to put on weight, the risk of heart disease increases, and then we find ourselves having to be put on medication, right? Best case scenario, I'm feeling fit, I'm just keeping up. I actually go out and do recreational activities on the weekends, right? And I can maintain that without injury. Now that you've explored best case and worst case scenario with these goals, you might have a new sense of what's important to you. What worst case scenarios really scare you? What best case scenarios really excite you? And let's go ahead and we're going to order these in what we feel is now calling to us to be most important. What's number 1, 2, 3, 4? Now that you have your number 1, we're not going to forget the others, but we're going to cross them out for right now. We're going to cross them out right now because we want to focus on one habit at a time, one goal at a time. Sometimes we can give ourselves too much, and that creates, it can be overwhelming. And we're trying to build momentum so we can continue to stack habits on top of each other so we can continue to have success and take on bigger and loftier goals. Now that we have our first goal, we're going to choose 3 actions that are relevant to that goal that we want to measure and track. For instance, we want to get better sleep. Maybe we're going to be tracking how much sleep we get each night. Maybe it's not about how much sleep you're getting, but how well you get yourself ready for bed, right? That nighttime preparation, instead of finding yourself sitting in front of the TV, maybe the action you're focusing on is keeping the TV off before you're getting ready for bed. Actually get a bedtime routine in order and regular. Now with each of these actions, let's say we're going to see which one seems the easiest to you, and we want to pick one that we'll focus on, and we'll keep the other ones just in, So let's say again the sleep. Maybe the first goal right now is we're going to focus on making sure we're getting to bed by 9 p.m. so that way we actually get the full amount of sleep that we need to set. But maybe that's not the best option, so we can always come back to our list of actions and maybe try another action for the time. All right, so how long do we want to work on your goal? Will it take longer than 12 weeks? And should our goal be broken into smaller goals? So let's say I have a goal of averaging 8 hours of sleep a night. Now, I might have a hard time doing that the very first month of trying to pick up the habit, just because, that habit of turning on the TV when I get home is hard to break. So maybe I'm wanting to set my first goal for the month is I want to make sure that, let's say, half the nights, 15 out of 30 days, I want to try to get 8 hours of sleep. The next month, maybe I'm trying to make sure I'm getting 20 days out of 30. And we can gradually build this up until eventually, I'm seeing this. Now, for instance, Apple Watches, there's lots of sort of trackers that you can now have that can help you with measuring, and that might be something to be considering as a tool as well. It might be there is an actual outcome that you're wanting to measure, or you might be measuring the time spent in an activity, right? So how many times do you actually go through that bedtime routine? Okay, so how are you going to quantify progress and measure the outcomes? That's something we were just talking about. Is this something that, is it a time that we're going to be recording? Is this going to be time measured doing the actions? Is this going to be distance that you've been running? Or is it just how many days you go out for a run? All right, this is an important question. What will keep you from achieving your goals? What barriers can you anticipate? So let's take running, for example. Running shoes can be an easy barrier for people. If you don't have something comfortable to run in, or something that doesn't fit quite right, and so you find yourself hurting. Maybe it's your time. Maybe you're having a hard time finding a place to run in your day, and that might be something you're having to negotiate with yourself, right? Now, maybe in the past you've tried this goal before, and you've also found previous barriers, things that got in the way. Maybe it was you found yourself bored, and you didn't have a good way to change things up when you found yourself losing focus and motivation. Those are things that you want to start to think about and write out what would be possible solutions to them. So in the case of, say, the running shoes, easy solution is to be going out. I'm going to plan my next move is to go out and get some running shoes. I might go over to the Good Feet stores and get some advice. It might be I'm going to keep my shoes right next to the bed, so that way first thing in the morning I go right for the run, because that's when I have the most time or most free time in my day to just sneak in 15 minutes of running. How can you limit your barriers to success? Well, so we were just talking about a few of them, and this is what we're trying to do, is anticipate barriers that have gotten in the way maybe previously, or ones that we can foresee, and as we go along you might find there are new ones. I think one of the most important things you can be doing is expect that there are going to be struggles. That is part of this process. In the very beginning we were just talking about picking a goal that has a chance of failure, and because of that, those barriers are also the changes likely you need to make to adapt this new habit. For your brain to literally make the changes to help reinforce this with practice and repetition. So I guess in recap, as you're going through this worksheet, remember that the purpose of it is to help trigger this thinking that you're going to need as you're moving forward with your goal, prioritizing it, really focusing in on specific actions, and holding yourself accountable to those actions. Maybe it's with a device, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a trainer. And it's okay to stop and reassess your direction. Maybe you maintain the same goal, but remember, you can always come back to those 3 different actions. What are some other options? This list, you can go through it again, and maybe you come up with some new actions because you found some new barriers along the way. I hope you found this helpful. Always feel free to reach out to me. Have a great day, and good luck on your resolution.